back?
Looks that way.
Well, slap the dog and spit in the fire. They like us.
Yeah, it would seem so. Okay, well, welcome back to the Babbling Bards podcast, made for Xenites.
By Xenites. We talk about the series, the episode. I vomit a few trivia bits that I know at you.
And I'll keep her from jumping too far ahead.
Am I really that bad?
Only if I don't, tug the leash hard enough.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
But it's one of your most endearing qualities.
Well, as long as you're keeping me on track, I guess the least I can do for you is fire up the old photo mem. And that way we can at least call the episode guest stars by the right names.
Hey. Okay, you do that. So, September 18th, 1995. Tell me, what happened?
Hackers with Angelina Jolie was released.
I met with Xena.
Oh, Dreamworker aired on network television. I like Dreamworker.
So do I. One of my favorites. How many chakrams would you give this one?
A solid 5. What about you?
Solid 5. I'm right there with you.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
So,
Dreamworker.
yeah, that happened.
It did.
We start out and we see badass Gabrielle. First time we've seen her giving any lip to anybody.
Yeah, so we think she's going up against some thugs or something.
Like, hey, I've killed thousands of your kind. And, go ahead and make a move. Or are you waiting on me to make a move?
That's your first mistake. Or waiting for me to make a mistake.
Yeah.
That's your first mistake.
That's your first mistake. Because I don't make mistakes.
And then
the camera pans around.
But first she goes and slashes and...
Uh-huh. And the camera pans and we see she's being a badass to...
a tree stump.
Yeah. And so,
kicking that tree stump's ass.
Yes, she is. So out strolls the warrior princess and she's like, hey, are you done with my sword?
Mm-hmm.
And then Gabrielle's like, well, I told you I would gather wood. I didn't tell you how I was going to get it.
Right.
And
it's a good thing that tree was unarmed.
You could have gotten hurt.
Could have gotten hurt, yeah.
So Gabrielle, being,
Gabrielle,
naive, it's all, well, maybe if somebody would teach me how to use a sword, it couldn't hurt me.
Yeah.
And she's, making a very strong argument with Xena is, hey, I don't want to fight. I just want to learn how to defend myself and survive, because doesn't that make more sense than you having to worry about me?
Yes, but Xena says, the moment that you pick up a sword
or a target
or a weapon of any sort, you automatically become a target.
And then we get this really, really slight eye roll from Gabrielle. Because she doesn't believe that,
Yeah.
She's like, because in her mind, because she's not adept at traveling the road with a former warlord.
Uh-huh.
She's like, yeah, right.
Right.
So these highwaymen. Oh no.
What? First she gives her a little lesson.
Gives her a little lesson.
Lesson in what is
survival.
Survival.
She's like, okay, here's your keys to survival. Number 1, if you can run. Run.
Right.
Number 2, if you can't run, surrender and then run.
Right.
Number 3, if you're outnumbered, let them fight each other.
And then you run.
And then you run. While you run.
While you run, right.
And then number 4.
Let me guess, more running.
No. Number 4,
No.
Xena is completely confident that Gabrielle's able to do because it's what she does best.
Talk her way out of it.
She
knows she can do that.
Exactly. So Gabrielle's like, yeah, okay.
All right.
And, she gives Xena this little smile, like, yeah, I'll play along. So then these highwaymen come up. Then my photo mem that goes on, fast forward a good chunk of the time can keep going with the highwaymen.
So they come up, and the lead one.
And he's very pleasant to Xena.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, hey, what do you want? And he's like, oh, not much. We're just poor guys trying to make a living.
Right.
Well, take anything off your hands that you got. Your jewelry, your gold, your horse. Oh, and I want your sword, too.
Yeah, I'll take that sword of yours, too. Now, lead highway guy man, pay attention, because there's an oopsie.
Oopsie!
Pay attention to the leather.
We love the oopsies.
Yeah, the leather sash that he's wearing because it changes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you first see it, it's got like, I don't even know what kind of a design.
It's like a teardrop design. It's like gold teardrop looking deal.
Yeah, and then it changes to like
just
where it's studded.
Studded, yeah.
And then it changes back.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention to that. It's an oopsie.
And then we have another oopsie, the same frame, where Xena takes her dagger.
Right, this is before the highwaymen show up. When she notices them coming up,
she throws her dagger.
Xena grabs a dagger out of the saddlebag.
Mm-hmm.
And pay attention to where she throws it, where it lands. It lands next to a big rock.
Uh-huh. On the left side.
What?
Hey, look at you guys! We're gonna put you guys on silent, otherwise you'll be stuck in my pocket the entire podcast. Keep up the tweeting.
Yeah.
And the liking and the retweeting. We like that.
And all of that, yeah.
You're turning us into junkies. So she chunks it on the left side of the rock, and I'm just going to point out here that she throws it with the point into the dirt.
Right.
So it's not just laying flat, so nobody can just kick it and skitter it about.
Yeah.
Because Xena's smart. She throws it sticking out of the dirt.
Right.
These guys come up, there's the exchange about, take your sword too.
Mm-hmm.
Xena's like, bullshit on that.
Yeah, well,
yes.
He says, something about surrendering.
Yeah. He says, I think a surrender's in order, and Xena says, oh, I accept.
I accept.
Gabrielle, take their weapons.
Take their weapons.
Gabrielle looked at Xena like, the fuck?
What? And they're all just, laughing like, oh yeah, are these two women gonna take our weapons? And that's not gonna happen.
I don't know Xena very well.
No.
By the first episode, I had her figured out. I knew I didn't want to tangle with her in a dark alley.
Right?
So, we sew at the same time.
We do that a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, we then move forward, and Xena's kicking ass, taking names.
Yeah.
And Gabrielle, in for the first season, the most iconic scene that we've got with Gabrielle is the one that they use in the theme credits.
Right.
Where we finally see where that shot comes from. It's from her leaning down and picking up Xena's sword.
Right.
And as she does that, Gabrielle lets out her take on a Xena war cry. And it's pitiful. It's adorable. Because, you got just the adoration from Gabrielle to Xena.
Yeah.
But Liliana didn't notice that at first.
I didn't.
And I pointed it out. I'm like, look, I said, did you hear Gabrielle's little tiny war cry? And she's like, what? No. So I backed it up because she makes me back it up all the time when, I don't understand the subtext.
But yeah, I didn't notice that. I was like, wow.
It doesn't even sound like Xena's war cry. She does this little ay thing.
Yeah.
It's not even close. But she gave it her all.
She tried.
She did. But let's face it, how many people can do that?
Right. You can.
Yeah, but we're not going to go there.
Do it.
Nah, we're okay.
But anyway, so she gets the attention of, the merry men there.
Yeah, and she finds out that what Xena's told her is true. She's picked up a sword, and now
she's a target.
She's a target.
Oh, look, the little one's got a sword. Kill her.
Kill her with fire.
So,
but overruns Xena, and Gabrielle, instead of handing Xena the sword,
she throws it down.
So who gets it but, highwayman guy.
With the changing sash.
With the changing sash.
If you notice, it's different in this one. In this scene right now.
Yeah. It's studded right now. Well, he picks it up and he's like, hey, there's only one person that carries the sword. It's Xena.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill Xena. My reputation's gonna soar. Frickin' man. He's a dirt to dirt. Anyway, so
yeah.
Now flash to this shot of him with his sword raised up. He now has on the original sash.
Yeah.
You can see it from the back.
And then
Xena has a spear, and he hacks the spear in half.
Right.
So she hauls ass over
She goes to grab the dagger, which is now on
the right side of the boulder.
right side. It jumped sides in the
jumped
middle
sides.
of the fight.
So there's 2 oopsies in one scene.
Yeah. So I figured, I better jump over to this side because, she's going to grab me from this side.
Right. Now, one would think, why didn't Xena just yank out the chakram and use the chakram?
Right.
But this episode is the first time that we don't see Xena use the chakram.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's your little trivia bit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we go over to 2 figures in behind the bushes.
Right. The priests of Morpheus.
So we have Manus, who's played by Nathaniel Lees.
Uh-huh.
And a little fun fact for you guys, Nathaniel Lees and Renee O'Connor were in Young Hercules together, where Renee played
Deianira.
And Nathaniel Lees played the Blue Priest.
He also played a priest dressed in blue.
Dressed in blue.
Like he is now.
Who was trying to sacrifice Deianira to a god. So he, stalked her from Young Hercules on over to Xena.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I didn't get to finish what I started. Come on.
Let's go again.
Yeah. So poor Renee O'Connor can't get a break.
Right.
So somebody's always trying to sacrifice her. You
Right?
know? They try to sacrifice her to Morpheus, and then Dayhawk,
and then that other king guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The Dead King.
Yeah. She's got accompanying him in death.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which wasn't the custom at that time, but when we get to that episode, we'll get to that. But yeah. Huh. Well, now I feel bad for Gabrielle. I like Gabrielle.
Yeah.
You know. I like Renee O'Connor.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I feel bad for Gabrielle. Huh. Well, that sucks. And she's so young, too.
It's okay. She survives.
I know. She goes through shit, but she survives. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like, way ahead of ourselves. So, Xena and Gabrielle go to this village that's not named. They never say the name of the village.
Yeah, no.
No. And they get there, and they're talking amongst themselves, and then Xena's like, hey, I need to go get a sharpening stone and some oil, and Gabrielle's like, oh, I think I'm going to shop around too.
Right.
Like, I'm going to go to a store, and Xena's like, okay, well, I'm going to go in here to the general store and get my stuff.
Somebody else said what she was going to go get, but I can't remember what it was. I think it has something to do with pork. I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she did say salt pork, didn't she?
There you go.
Salt pork. She wanted to go get some salt pork.
Like something with pork.
Well, Gabrielle doesn't go and get salt pork.
Yeah.
But we don't know where she's at.
Yeah.
Until after we see Xena in the shop talking to the shopkeeper.
Right.
Who's played by Sidney Jackson.
Uh-huh.
Now, Sidney Jackson, you guys will probably remember from the episode Blind Faith, the one where Xena gets the oil in her eye that has the sumac in it.
Mm-hmm.
He is the one that plays Vidalis, who's teaching Gabrielle etiquette. And he has the Egyptian sienna growing in his garden.
Yeah.
But you can't make a good face cream without it.
Without it, right.
And so he's one of their trick head actors in Xena. And there's quite a few of those in this episode.
So for those who do not know what a trick hat actor is.
I was like, what did you call me?
Explain to them what that is.
Trick hat actor is somebody in a series that plays more than one character.
Like Carl Urban, who
right.
plays multiple characters.
Yeah, he plays Julius Caesar, he plays Cupid, he plays Kor, he plays Male in Altered States.
Right. So yeah, he plays.
Is there one more?
Probably. He plays so many.
Yeah.
So many characters.
Yeah.
But yeah. But obviously the most memorable ones are Caesar and Cupid.
Right. He looks so spunky when he plays Cupid.
Right. Like his.
Yeah. That's my boy.
Boy.
So they that's a terminology that they use in acting when they're like, hey, let's bring this person in because they had a guest starring role.
Right.
You know, so now let's bring them in again, thinking, oh, the audience will forget that they did this piece.
Nope.
No. Well, I mean, like with Sidney Jackson, it's easy. It's easy to do, but when you have somebody that has a character arc, like
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Right.
Then it's a little harder to say, hey, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, where were we? Oh,
Sidney Jackson's the
Okay.
storekeeper.
in the store. Right.
Right? And he's all, giddy because Xena and Gabrielle come into town, and she tells him she needs a sharpening stone in the oil, and then asked who she needs to talk to about disposing of a dead highwayman.
Right, and
He's more concerned with...
if Gabrielle killed him or not.
Right.
Did she kill him? She was just like, no. Why would that matter?
Right.
But he seems relieved and pleased to know that, Gabrielle didn't spill any blood.
Which doesn't click with Xena at this point.
No, it doesn't.
And then we switch to a different shop.
But then we have Elkton.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Elkton.
Elkton comes in, who is a mystic, or a former mystic. And shopkeeper guy's like, oh, we don't want your kind in here, get out.
Yeah.
He's all like, why don't you just sell him a halter? Because he needed a halter for his horse.
Because he couldn't lead it with a rope, because he is blind.
He's blind. He's all like, well, we don't serve his kind here. Because
It's all over the place, man. Even back in those days.
Yeah.
People like, can't we all just get along?
Just get along.
Yeah.
Right.
That's bullshit. Anyway.
It is.
So
now.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
In a shop.
Yeah. Because she told Xena she was going to go shopping.
But that shop doesn't have salt pork.
No, it doesn't. It has lethal weaponry.
It's got weapons. Yeah.
And she's looking around, and the shopkeeper comes out, and he's like, what are you doing in here?
Oh, you should be
with other girls, and
they send them away for the solstice.
For solstice, yeah.
Solstice.
The summer solstice.
Right.
And she's like, eh? And he's all, oh, you must be experienced then. And she's like, yeah, I mean, I've had experiences.
Yeah, so he's thinking that, she's killed before.
Right.
Right.
But she hasn't. She's like, I'm looking for a weapon, and he goes, oh, well, let me show you this one, and he hands her a sword that's like as big as she is.
Right. Can't hold on to it.
She can't hold it. So maybe something a little more petite.
Yeah.
And so he's like, maybe I have something that you want. So he shows her
a breast dagger.
A breast dagger. Oh, I like it. That's meant to pierce the breast of your enemy straight into the heart. And he's like, not exactly.
Yeah.
So he's showing her how it works.
Right.
He pulls her shirt out, and she's like, wait.
Back away.
Yeah. And he's like, no, it's okay. So he tucks it and situates it in between the girls.
Yeah.
Well, Gabrielle doesn't have much.
No.
So she's, her shoulders automatically go back, and she's like, yeah, I like it.
Okay. Breast dagger. Okay, yeah.
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 So she walks out.
All perky. Because she's got to kind of like push herself out so that the dagger doesn't fall.
Right. Yeah. So then we have Xena that walks out. And this is where the subtext gods and Trista do not get along. Because according to Threads, again, because you guys don't understand, so that we can do these podcasts, and I am so fucking illiterate when it comes to subtext and reading subtext. Like Liliana made me watch a set of videos called Subtext for Dummies. I can't think of the YouTube user's name, but we'll put it in the description.
It was, it was.
It's a whole series, yeah.
It's for Xena, but yeah.
So they're like pulling out all these little subtext scenes, and I'm like, I still don't get it.
Can you not see? It's right there.
I know, but the problem is though, while Liliana is very good at watching stuff for face value, and I just pick it to death.
Pick it apart.
And so she's all like, oh, look at this, look, and I'm like, yeah, what episode is that? That's from this episode. I'm picking out what episodes it's from.
Yeah. Trying to place the episodes.
And she's like, it's not even about that. Come on. But anyway, so the subtext gods have smiled upon Xena and Gabrielle shippers. And And they say this is the first time that you see attraction between the women, because Xena's now officially checking Gabrielle out enough to say, hey, you look bigger.
Yeah.
So it's her way of saying, well, I paid attention before, and now it's different. So Gabrielle, Renee, jeez. So Gabrielle's like, really? No? And so she's like adjusting her shoulders around, and then out falls the breast dagger.
Right.
And because Xena has lectured her,
Uh-huh.
because she doesn't want her to have to worry about the same thing she went through when she killed her first person. Right. Gabrielle's felt the need to hide this dagger from Xena. Mm-hmm. So she plays it off when it falls out of her clothes. She's like, hey, there's no telling what else is in these clothes. They're hand-me-downs, you know? And that's where Trista should have understood that,
peasant girl.
Gabrielle was peasant girl, but I didn't. Yeah. I didn't understand until the blind faith episode with the king and her being, because they're like, oh, you pick a peasant girl, and I'm like, hey, she's not a freaking peasant. You need to watch what you're talking about, But she was.
Yeah, she was.
Anyway.
So, yeah. So Xena, picks up the dagger, and where does she put it?
And then we have more subtext.
So she gets it, and she's, I'll hold on to this.
I'll hold on to it, and Gabrielle makes the comment, like your breasts aren't dangerous enough. And then there's like this little smirk on her face as she's saying it, which people read into as, subtext. Gabrielle saying, hey, So then they notice the horse starts kind of bucking a little bit.
Everybody starts
scattering.
Running into their houses and shops and locking themselves inside.
Yeah.
So she tells...
It's like you remember the guy on the newscast a while back. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. They're hiding their kids, hiding their wives from the priests.
Yeah, she tells Gabrielle to get on the horse.
Yeah, like get on the horse.
And then these dudes come out with these things on their heads.
They're horny. The things on their heads, they're horny. Not the men. Well, I mean, they're men. They probably were. Anyway, so they come out with the ram's horns on their heads.
Yeah.
And, which is, if you look at the altar when Monas is praying to Morpheus, you understand then why their helmets look like that. It's because it's almost like an effigy of Morpheus. So Xena starts kicking their butt, and then all of a sudden,
they all disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Including Gabrielle.
Yeah. So
they all go poof.
So Xena's all, Gabrielle! She doesn't really say Gabrielle.
Well,
Gabrielle.
You guys wonder why sometimes we say Gabrielle.
It's not because we're stupid.
We know how to say Gabrielle. It's Lucy Lawless.
Yeah.
Says that like at conventions and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, when they're doing it. Well, even in the coffee talks.
Yeah.
But if they're rewatching,
it's Gabrielle.
It's Gabrielle. Well, one of the shows at the Roxy, or maybe it was the Canal Room, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Renee was dancing. To see the girl with the diamond ring, you know.
Right.
And Baby What I Say, that's the name of the song. And when she goes off the stage, Lucy Lawless says, "Oh my God, it's Gabrielle!" But which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But then you have the coffee talks where when Gabrielle does go to kill Meridian in The Deliverer. Spoiler.
Yep.
But when she goes to kill her, Lucy Lawless goes, "Oh no, Gabrielle! No, Gabrielle!" And she does that she does that for Ides of March too in the commentary, I believe.
Yeah.
But so that's why it's a loving tribute to Lucy Lawless.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Gabrielle's missing and Xena's pissed off,
right?
Because it's Xena. Mm-hmm. So she goes and she slams the shopkeeper up against the wall. Where the hell did they take her?
Yeah, because now it's starting to click with her why he asked about Gabrielle.
Right. And she has taken into account, hey, your face lit up
when we walked into town. So, you know what's going on.
He's like, the Mystics take a young girl every solstice and we never see them again.
Right.
So then it clicks with Xena Elkton, who she purchased a halter for earlier, who was very thankful, by the way. I don't think we covered that.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, that old man.
He was a mystic. And they're like, yeah, go see him. Pretty much, leave me alone, go see him.
Right. So then we find out where Gabrielle is. We cut to this chamber, and Gabrielle is in an entirely different outfit. And she doesn't know what's going on.
Nope.
But of course, her main threat is Xena. You know, anytime Gabrielle's in trouble, like until she starts really having a grasp, it's I know Xena. I know Xena.
Yeah.
So they're not impressed. They don't give a crap.
No.
And he's like, "Oh, calm down. We're not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
You've been chosen to be the honored bride of Morpheus."
Morpheus's bride. Yeah.
And she's like, "Morpheus?
Got dreams."
Yeah. Like, what would he want with me? You know, I'm not the wifey type, she tells him. She's like, I don't know anything about housework. And children? Look at these hips.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think so. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Nothing like that matters to Morpheus.
Right. He doesn't care about that.
He doesn't care. So, you know, pretty much tells her you're going to have 3 challenges that you got to get through.
Right.
And if you survive, then you'll become Morpheus' bride. And she's like, can you go back to the if I survive part?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would key into that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So then we go to Elkton's home.
Right.
Where we see Xena.
Walking up.
Elkton doesn't see Xena.
But he hears her.
He does. And
he's not as blind as, you know, people may think.
Yeah.
Because when you're blind, all your other senses are heightened.
Right. Heightened, yeah.
So he hears her.
He hears her, and he's like, you know, make yourself known.
Right.
And so she speaks, and he's like, oh, I know that voice. You're the one that bought me the halter.
Right.
And she's like, I don't mean any harm. I just want to know where my friend is.
Yeah.
The Mystics took her, and then he proceeds to tell her that the Mystics used to be a good order, and now it's been perverted.
Right. He goes on to, you know, talking about blood innocence.
She's going to lose her blood innocence. And Xena's like, blood innocence? And that's the first episode that's talked about at all.
Mm-hmm.
And blood innocence turns out to be a really big deal in Gabrielle's story arc.
Yeah.
Because we have the whole season 3 arc, and you know.
Yep.
So yeah.
And then he mentions about how he had a vision or a dream.
Right.
About a warrior?
Yeah, a warrior that could travel the dream passage. Had
a dark past. And
he pretty much describes Xena.
Yeah. She's all like, you know, that's me.
Yeah. But her face betrays, like, the way she's saying it. Because she's saying it with more confidence than she looks like she has.
Right.
In her face. Which that could be me just totally reading it incorrectly on screen. Yeah. I don't know. But she doesn't look like she's as convinced as he is. So, we go to the inside.
Right. Because he tells her about, you know, the dreamscape.
Right.
And so she wants to know how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's got to go save Gabrielle.
Gabrielle! So she's laying on the bed, and he tells her to drink this stuff.
Right. We don't even know what it is. But
right.
Yeah. Okay. Drink.
And then he starts putting the Incama oil on her.
Yeah. And another oopsie. So if you watch, you know, he's squeezing the rag with the oil, you know, all over her, on her chest and stuff. And then the next shot, you'll notice that
she's dry.
There's no oil on her. So
it's a continuity mistake.
Yeah.
Which are rampant in almost anything anymore,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So
and then we go to
she slips into the dream.
Not yet.
Dreamscape.
She's not there yet. Is she?
I don't know. I think maybe because then he makes the comment that, you know, Morpheus knows that you're there.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's right. Because then she's greeted by her former army.
Yeah, but before that, I think
No, I was right.
Yeah.
That was right. How dare you get me to second guess myself? Huh. So then we go and we see Gabrielle in the Dreamscape passage before Xena's greeted by her army.
Uh-huh.
And she goes into this room for her first trial.
Right.
And there's two guys with swords.
Uh-huh.
And she has a sword.
She does.
That she doesn't know how to use.
No.
Doesn't even know how to hold it at this point. And she notices, oh crap, there's two of them.
Right. And they're like behind these curtains. So all she sees is their shadows.
Yeah.
The silhouettes of them.
But,
so she remembers, like, what? She, like, remember what?
She remembers what Xena says is, if you're outnumbered, let them fight each other.
Let them fight each other.
Well, if you notice the way that clip said, here's another whoopsie.
Uh-huh.
But if you notice the way that clip said, it's different than it was when Xena was giving her the lesson. And you can hear Lucy Lawless's Kiwi accent slip in there. Let them fight each other. You know, you can hear it when she goes Kiwi.
Right.
So, but Gabrielle does. She allures them with coughing.
Yeah.
And when she notices that both of them are lined up together, she lets loose this fake sneeze.
Fake sneeze. She darts out of the way, and they lunge for her, but they lunge at each other and end up stabbing each other.
Right.
So.
And Xena, in the meantime, after Manus is not very happy at the fact that Gabrielle didn't shed any blood, he's like, oh, she's smart.
Yeah.
You know. And Xena, in the meantime, has come through, her army. Yeah, Xena, yeah, cheering her on.
Chanting cheering
and
her
then
on.
She tells them something that's pretty prolific at this point, because Xena's still very much so warrior. She's like, no, I left all this behind me, And then she starts coming in touch with people that she's previously killed.
Yep.
Including a fellow named Dolus. Dolus. Who is played by Patrick Smith, who's another trick head actor. He's used in a couple of other episodes, but probably the most prominent one, he plays Glaus? Glaus?
You know how I am with names.
I know, but I don't remember how to say his name either. But he plays Glaus, the bad guy in Warrior Princess. In the episode Warrior Princess. That gets pinned to the wall with the swords. So there's you guys, another trick hat guy.
Yeah, I never noticed that one either.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So she's going all this, and she's getting more and more upset, and she finally makes them go away. She's like, "It's my dream.
It's my dream. I control it. Poof, be gone.
Poof, be gone." And poof, they were gone.
Yep.
So then she goes on running through, and she comes across the room with Gabrielle, who's sitting there playing this warped and twisted version of "He Loves Me Not."
Yeah.
They're gonna sacrifice me, they'll sacrifice me not. They'll sacrifice me, they'll sacrifice me not.
So, we're in Gabrielle's dream.
Yeah. Her dream passage.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Xena explains to her about, the blood sacrifice.
Not yet. Gabrielle gets excited. She's like, Xena, what are you doing here? And Xena's like, wait.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's like, wait. Tell me something about you I don't know. Gabrielle's like,
what?
Why?
Because Morpheus knows everything that I know, so you need to tell me something that I don't know. So,
Gabrielle busts out what leads into another fun fact of, well, I was born with 6 toes on my right foot. And then she freaks out. She tells Xena, well, don't look. They're gone now. It's gone now.
Yeah, Xena makes the comment, yeah, it must be you.
Yeah. But the 6 toes on the foot bit, Stephen Sears, who wrote this episode, added the 6 toes bit based on his father, who was born with 6 toes on his foot. But anyway, little trivia fun fact, for you guys, and for you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
One thing that Gabrielle has said is that nobody has ever seen it. So.
Except for her mother. Nobody knew it but her mom.
So, I'm all like, so her dad never saw it?
Men
Or her
back
s-
then didn't pay attention
or her
to the
sister?
kids. That was the woman's job.
Or her sister. So I'm like, okay. And
Well, you got to remember, Lila was younger
yeah,
than her.
yeah,
So it may have already been Lila came along.
right.
But yeah, Herodotus strikes me very much so as, guy that's not really going to pay attention to his kid.
Yeah, or her mom kept it hidden pretty good.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah.
Her mom knitted her these little 6-toed booties. So Xena's like, oh yeah, it must be you because Morpheus would use something that was at least vaguely familiar
Right.
to her. And Gabrielle's like, well, now what? I've already been through one test. I did what you said.
Mm-hmm.
They killed each other. Does that count?
Does that count?
After Xena's explained about the blood innocence.
She said no, otherwise you'd be on your honeymoon right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is Xena's trying to tell her something, but before she could, Gabrielle faded away.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying, do what you do best, which is talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then when Gabrielle's asleep, she's calling out for Xena when they come in to wake her up. And Monis is like, oh, it's time for your next challenge.
Yeah.
She's like, can't I just sleep a little bit longer?
Just trying to stall.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be, dark circles under my eyes bride standing at the altar.
Yeah.
And then he tells her that, they already know Xena's there and his soldiers are out looking for her body.
Right.
So he then shoves her into the other challenge and
with another sword.
And she's like, use what I'm good at. Use what I'm good at. I'm not really good at anything.
Yeah.
So
she walks into this room. It's got like this
big fire pit.
In there.
Which is semi foreshadowing of Dayhawk.
Dayhawk. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Little bit. So,
not huge.
No. So she tosses the sword in there.
Right. Yeah, I don't need that.
I don't need that. And then there's these three thugs.
Yeah.
I guess.
One of them chunks a spear at her.
Yeah.
And this is where we have another bit of evidence of foreshadowing. Because Gabrielle yanks the spear out and she breaks off the blade.
Right. So now
it's pretty much a staff.
Yeah.
A quarter staff.
Right.
Which is foreshadowing her getting her own staff when she becomes an Amazon.
Spoiler.
Okay. Anyway. So, and plus, her breaking the head off of it, neutralizes the deadliness of the weapon.
Right.
So, this episode shows you there is the first time that the argument of to kill or not to kill has come into play for Gabrielle. And that, again, for her character, is a huge, huge part of her character development in the later seasons. And we won't spoil those for you. Yeah, we will. Not right at this moment, but they'll get spoiled. Because I get excited and then I don't know how to control my logorrhea. My diarrhea of the mouth. So anyway.
Yeah. So
she outsmarts them.
She outsmarts them.
She's like, oh, the best fighter goes first, and then I'll take the easy pickings last.
Right.
So one guy steps forward and she's like, oh, you?
I would have thought,
that's what I would have thought when the other guy steps up. So they start fighting, and one of them gets thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
And then the other one steps forward, and she turns to the other guy, and she's like, well, I know where they place you.
Yeah.
And so he gestures for the other guy to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Stabs him in the back.
Stabs him, and then he throws this
dagger into the stalagmite.
Throws a dagger at Gabrielle. She ducks in. Yeah. Goes into the rock thing behind her.
The rock.
And
but there's steam going through all these rock formations.
Right. So
there's pressure building.
Pressure's building.
And you see the dagger start shaking.
Yeah. So he grabs Gabrielle, has her over his shoulder, getting ready to toss her into the fire pit when
magically the dagger
shoots out from the pressure and stabs the dude.
Because that would happen.
Right.
In real life.
Yeah.
It would. With enough wires.
Yeah.
Okay. So
she beat that challenge.
Right. And
still no blood.
And so Monis, again, is not very happy.
No.
He's like, I don't know how you figured it out, but you figured out that, Morpheus wants you to kill.
Right. Requires your blood.
Mm-hmm.
For you to spill blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's not happy. He's like, well, the next challenge, you won't have a choice.
Right.
Well, in the meantime, we go back to Xena.
Back to Xena.
Who is going through her own dreamscape passage at this point.
Yeah.
And she's still running into people that she's killed.
Yeah.
So we meet the very first person that Xena's... Actually, we meet the last person she
Her last killed.
The highwayman.
The one with the
changing
sash.
And then we meet the first person she's ever killed, whose name is Turman.
Uh-huh.
And she's slit his throat, and she tells him, well, I killed you because people that I grew up with died beneath your sword.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but you were an innocent like Gabrielle. And he's like pretty much tormenting her mind because he's like, now she's going to feel all the guilt that you felt. She's going to have the dream. She's going to this and she's going to that.
Yeah.
And Xena, we have another little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. This one, it never clicked until we just watched the episode yesterday.
Uh-huh.
It never clicked with me. I can't believe it never clicked with me. I was like, oh my god, wait a minute. So, foreshadowing. So she does this thing where it makes, the other two disappear.
But let's back up to her costume first, though.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So she's in like this
kimono-looking oriental robe.
Right.
And when you look at when she's very first, way back, dropped down into the dreamscape passage, it's very reminiscent of the scene where she's floating with Lao Ma.
Yeah.
So then we come up to where she's trying to get these other guys out of her dreamscape.
Right. So she does.
And this is where Liliana was like, oh!
She does this mind thing. And for those of you who have watched the series, it reminds you of something that she would be able to do when she was in Chin.
Right.
Using her mind.
Using her will.
To will
them away.
So that didn't click with me until yesterday when we watched the episode. I'm all like, well, shit! How did I never notice that? It never clicked.
Well, these podcasts, we record like 6 or 7 times before we get a good take.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Not all the time.
Yeah.
We're on our second one right now. And we're always adding more or taking stuff out or something.
Yeah.
But I brought up the foreshadowing yesterday in the podcast when we were doing that. And Liliana was like looking at me like, really? So then when we're watching it and she sees them wheeling them away, she's like, oh my god! I never noticed that!
Yeah. So, that's something she would have done when she was in Chin. Because, she's not able to do it anywhere else.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe the
that
power
really would have that really would have helped her in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Anyway.
But, yeah. Anyways. So, foreshadowing.
No, I'm sad. So anyhow, she's willed them away.
Uh-huh.
Then she goes and she faces her biggest enemy yet.
Lurking in the shadows.
Mm-hmm. We don't exactly know who it is.
Uh-huh.
Except we do know who it is because it's Lucy Lawless's voice.
Right.
She's facing off with Bad Xena.
Right.
And who has these wonky blacked out eyes that are used again, the same contact lenses that they used are used also in the Bittersweet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But, that's a different nerdgasm.
It becomes who you are. Anyway.
Sorry. No, we're not. We're not sorry. So, she's got the all black eyes and she's taunting Xena. Mm-hmm. She's like, all your strength comes from me. We were good together, pretty much trying to seduce her back to her old ways.
Right.
And Xena's not having any of it.
Nope.
And in the meantime, they start fighting. And evil Xena starts kicking new Xena's ass. Kimono Xena's ass. So then we go to Elkton, who is now, because Xena's fighting in the dreamscape, her body fluids are draining much quicker
Right.
than what he's anticipated. So she's close to death, really, at this point.
Yeah.
And then we flash back real quick to her and evil Xena fighting. And then we flash to Gabrielle, who they put in this triangular-shaped cage.
Yeah.
And Buffy's whittled some stakes that are pushing her forward.
Right.
And there's a sword laying on the ground a few feet in front of her. And there's a really big dude with a sword
at the end. So,
and they're encouraging her to pick up the sword and defend herself.
So yeah, she's pretty much got no choice.
Right.
But to pick up the sword and defend herself.
Right. So she does pick the sword up, and she's getting nudged along, and Xena's trying desperately to figure out how to get to her.
Right.
Well, now, Morpheus's henchmen have gone and they've found Xena's body.
Right.
So they're trying to wrestle Elkton away from her. And then Xena's back with Bad Xena, and they're still fighting, and, you know, Bad Xena's telling Kimono Xena, oh, everything you've ever been has been because of me.
Right.
Your strength comes from me. This comes from me. And then Xena realizes that, yeah, you know,
she's right.
You're part of me.
Right.
You're not just a disease that I once had. You're part of me.
Yeah.
You're the key.
She's the key.
And then it dawns on her that, oh shit, she's the key.
Yeah.
So right here, I got another fun fact.
Okay.
Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, what is it?
So Lucy Lawless is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But she can't be in two places at one time.
No.
I mean, there's split screen tricks that can be used. But when you've got one Xena standing with the back to you and the other one face on,
right,
you know that there's a body double in there.
Right.
Well, this particular body double was played by Polly Bajant.
Uh-huh.
Who played Paulina in the episode that plays The Thing.
Uh-huh.
She was the one that was Xena in the Place The Thing, and the you are right, Gabrielle. How could I have been so blind? You know, and she plays Dr. Polly in Send in the Clones. But yeah, so she was a Xena body double for those of you guys that don't know. She did some of the stunt work too, but I think that mostly went to Zoe Bell.
Right.
But she was a full-time body double for Lucy Lawless. Which would explain why she can do all those acrobatic tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
In the
voice doesn't fit, but the
voice doesn't fit at all.
But she's got the moves.
She does. So anyway, there's you guys a little trivia nugget.
Yeah.
Because I love my trivia nuggets.
Mm-hmm. You do.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a geek, huh? That's okay. So anyway, they Kimono Xena throws evil Xena through the door.
Through the door.
After she's realized she's the key.
She's the key. The key will open the door.
You know, my mind goes to Buffy. There's a quote in Buffy for those of you guys that are fans.
Yeah.
Buffy season 5. Dawn Summers.
The key.
And then the whole thing with the key is the link. The link must be severed, for such is the will of God. So every time I hear Lucy Lawless say, you know, you're the key, I'm like, the key is the link. The link must be severed, for such is the will of God. Anyway, we nerd over many things. It's not just Xena. But so she enters the room with Gabrielle.
Okay, and then we go to back to the scene where Morpheus's
cronies are getting ready to.
Henchmen are, you know, he's got his sword up and he's going to strike down to kill Xena.
Uh-huh.
And then she disappears.
She goes poof.
Because she's gone through the door.
Yes.
So, yeah. She poofed.
And now we go back to Xena and Gabrielle.
Right.
Gabrielle's all excited. Xena! Like, hey, she came!
Save me!
So here comes Xena, and she's holding her own, but no weapon.
Uh-huh.
Because she's in the dream passage. She doesn't have any weapons.
Right. Gabrielle, tosses
she tosses her the sword.
Tosses her the sword.
And she tosses it at Xena instead of, on the ground this time.
Right. Because before, she just threw it to the ground.
She just threw it down like, oh! Be gone with you.
Yeah.
So Xena takes the sword, and she's
kicking butt,
taking names, And pretty soon she's wiped the floor with all the henchmen except for Manus. So Manus is all throwing off Morpheus is gonna do.
And then Gabrielle decks him.
Yeah, she punches him in the face, and she's like, punching's alright?
Yeah.
And Xena's all, I'm impressed.
Right?
So then we go back to the town, and Elkton's been reestablished as one of the...
He's got his robes on, and
he's got his sight back.
The head mystic priest.
Right.
You can see now. Mm-hmm.
And he makes the shopkeeper not charge Xena for the sharpening stone and oil, because she's finally got to get it.
Right. He's all like, don't you dare,
charge her 1 gold coin.
Right.
And, they don't call them dinars this early either. This early in the series. It's just gold. Don't take any gold from her, because the last, 3 episodes, they refer to gold, but not dinars. So, I don't know when that started. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. So we know when they start saying dinar. But anyway, so he thanks Xena and Gabrielle, and they leave.
Yeah.
And Xena takes her first stab at wisdom while they're sitting by the lake.
Yes.
And Gabrielle is, kind of tormented. She's beating herself up because she's realized how close she came to killing somebody.
Right.
And she's like, I could have killed somebody. And Xena's like, well, we all could, but you didn't. And Gabrielle's like, yeah, but I stepped right up to that peak.
Yeah.
And what I saw scared me. And, which, obviously she saw the Ides of March episode. That's why she's terrified.
Right.
But so Xena, trying to comfort Gabrielle, taking a stab at wisdom, she says, do you see how calm the surface of the water is?
That's how I used to be.
That was me once. And then she chunks a rock in.
Throws a rock in.
She's like, you see how the water ripples and churns?
And that's what I became. And then Gabrielle is all, well, if you sit here long enough, it'll be calm again.
Right.
And then Xena says, but the rock is still there and it'll forever be a part of the lake.
Yeah, she says the rock's still under there and it's forever a part of the lake. It may look the same, but it's forever changed. And Gabrielle's like, for your first stab at wisdom, you did pretty good. And Xena, being Xena's playing it off, she's like, you bought that? I was just saying that for your benefit. Gabrielle's like, yeah, I didn't believe you. So, thus ends Dreamworker. That also doesn't have a disclaimer, because that doesn't start until the next episode, Cradle of Hope.
Hey, disclaimers.
I like the disclaimers.
Me too. Those are fun. So, yep.
Some of them are kind of like, oh, that's just wrong, man.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what was it in the episode that they killed Boreas? It was Boreas' goose was cooked.
Goose was cooked.
During the making of this motion picture.
Yeah.
Some of them are cleverly done.
They are.
Liar, liar, it's no liars were strung during the making of this motion picture. But anyway, I'll nerd about that later.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll do it for this one.
For Dreamworker.
Yep.
So you guys let us know how you think we're doing. If there's anything mo better that you would like to see in these podcasts. Or if you even like the podcast.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. At Babbling Bards.
Babbling Bards. Facebook, Babbling Bards podcast. Instagram. Pinterest. We're on Pinterest now.
I still think that's lame, but because I don't use Pinterest for anything but recipes.
Oh yeah, well, me too. But we'll have the links
in the description box
below the video. So,
and then hopefully soon our webpage will get ready to be launched.
Right?
Hoping for that. I've got a few stories I've got to get uploaded on it before I can formally open it.
Yeah, working on that.
And then Liliana's got some really cool original Xena jewelry that she's going to be making and putting on there. So if you guys want, have at it. And she'll make them custom to order. But anyway, that's not here yet.
Nope, not yet.
But it will be.
We're still working on it.
Coming from a computer near you. So anyway.
Dun, dun,
dun. Dun, dun, dun. So anyhow.
Alrighty.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yep.
We hope you guys have an awesome day.
And we will...
Don't kill anyone.
See you on the next one. Cradle of Hope?
Cradle of Hope?
Cradle of Hope.
With Pandora.
Pandora.
And the tiny human.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little baby in the box. Yeah, because
Pandora.
Box. So, you guys have an awesome day, night, spring, fall,
Evening.
summer, winter, wherever you are.
Right.
And happy chakrams, guys.
Alrighty.
Bye.